look at today is a little bit of fruit pruning. On these raspberries here, you can see that they flower on the end of this season's growth. There's the old flower heads. So we know this is an autumn flowering one. This is autumn bliss. And because they flower on the ends of the growth, it means that we can cut them right down to the ground and they'll come up and still flower. Now we are a little bit late cutting these, so I'm not going to go quite as heavy, and we're going to let them come back and flower and fruit. If it was the summer ones, we'd be just removing the old canes like you do with blackberries as well. So what we're going to do, we're just going to cut these back. So this time of the year, because we're now into the middle of April, I'm just going to cut these back to there. Okay, and they'll still grow up and fruit. But if it was in February, March, I would be cutting these right down to the base. You can actually see there is even now some initiation of some flower buds right just sort of low down. This one here, we'll cut that one back a bit firmer. Cut that one back to a nice bud. Just put them all just to one side. And we'll just work our way through. So you're just cutting back to some nice shoots at the moment. Cut that one back. Work our way through. These have already flowered and gone, so we're going to cut them right back to the base. All the dead canes, all the spindly canes will be cut out. Again, we'll cut back to a bud, just cut in a slight angle, prune them back. There we go. And so that's pruning autumn bliss. Raspberries, really February, March would be better, but as you can see, there's the flowers already initiating. It's an autumn flowering one. With black currants now, they flower on the previous season's growth. You can see here there's some previous season's growth, and there are the currants just beginning to form now. So it's telling you how to prune it. You can see here again, there are the previous season's growth, and there is the fruit. So it's very obvious. Let the plant tell you how to prune it. So what we're going to do here is not very much actually. We just really need to remove a third of the oldest wood, and the oldest branch here is this one. You can see the colour is slightly different. We've got this sort of browny colour, and then this is gone sort of darker black, and it's more woody. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take out a third of the oldest wood. I'm going to prune that one, which will help the balance of the black currant as well. There's a branch here again which is growing out to the side, and that's a slightly older woodier one, so again I'll take that one out. And as you can see now, we're pretty much there. There's one older branch out the back. We'll just take that out. That's got a number of new branches on it. So there's my old woodies, and all I've got to do now is just a very tiny little bit of thinning on this one, just to thin that out a little bit. So we'll just take out a couple from there, and then we've got our fruit tree back to what it should be. A little bit of removing of some nettles, and then we're about done here on this black currant. One spindly there, take that one out, and a bit of dead, bit of spindly there, and that is about it for that black currant, apart from one little piece out the back there. And then we've got our shape, nice sort of gobblety shape, some of last season's growth with the flowers ready to fruit and give us a little bit of a crop this year. Typically we prune them after flowering, that's the normal time of pruning, but that's the black currant pruning. So remember, they flower on the previous season's growth. Prune out a third of the oldest wood. So what we've got here now is a gooseberry, And a gooseberry is different again to the blackcurrant. The gooseberry is a bit more like an apple tree. So that flowers on these sort of flowers and fruits on the short spurs on the side of the branches, and you want to try and create a goblet kind of shape if you can to open it up. So where you've got sort of, well, this is just another plant growing up through the middle. We'll take that out. We'll just take out some of the dead material first. See, there's quite a bit of dead. And what you normally do is where you've got these long kind of laterals, we're going to shorten them back to about 4 from this season's growth. So I'm going to just nip them back, cut them back, all these laterals, just to get that all nice and tidy. So again, here's a lateral. We're going to cut that back to about 4. Another lateral here, cut it back to about 4 buds. And this will help tidy up the gooseberry. And what you can do is once you start to sort of unravel it, here I've got one crossing the plant, so I'm going to cut that out, and that now will open it up a little bit. And where I've got this, just going to prune that back just to get some good circulation through the middle of gooseberry. The problem they get is American mildew, and that can certainly kill a gooseberry. You can plant resistant varieties like Invictus. See that long piece there, but it's growing way out over into the other plants, so I'm going to actually take that one out. Okay, and now we're getting more balanced sort of plant, just 1 or 2 more just to shorten. What you can do on some, you can actually tip a leader. So looking at this second one here, sometimes what you can do if you've got a big leader is you can sort of tip that back by about 1/3 or 1/4, and then all the side branches on it, just cut them back to 3 or 4. And that's another way of pruning the gooseberry. Again, there's the leader. I'm just going to tip that back by about 1/3 to 1/4, and any side branches we can cut them back. On this one's got some side branches, so again I'm just cutting that back to about 4, nip them all back, and then that will help to build up a spur system. Cut this one back a little bit harder. I'm going to let that one be the leader, cut it back to 4, just going to tip that back a bit. Okay, and you can see now you can got a nice spur system developing on that one. And so there we go, just about done. A little bit of pruning around the base just to tidy up. Here's a branch going sideways across that one. I'm just going to prune that off. There's 1 or 2 branches here from a dead plant. We'll take them out. Bit of dead here, and again it's off another. Just cut that back. You can grow gooseberries on a leg to try and reduce gooseberry sawfly. And what you do, you trim off the branches at the base. Whoops. Trim off the branches at the base, so you've got a little bit of stem clear at the base. So just feed that out. Okay, we'll just calm that. We've got some rooted pieces there which we can grow on if we want to. So these are all there. If I remove these little bits here, and what I can do, I can grease band this base of stem, and what will happen is when the sawfly try to climb up to defoliate the plant, then they get stuck in the grease. So that's what a lot of people do with gooseberries. They grow them on a leg to try and stop that problem. So it's another technique that you can use if you want to. But generally what we're doing is we're opening up the middle of the plant, tipping the leaders and shortening the laterals back to about 3 or 4 buds on a gooseberry. Okay, so we did the raspberries, the autumn raspberries, cutting them right back, or cutting back all the old shoots. On the black currants, we cut out 1/3 of the oldest woody growth, and on gooseberries we spur prune them, we tip the leader, and we cut the laterals back to about 4, and we keep the centre nice and open. So that's 3 types of pruning. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to prune. We've got some blackberries, and as you can see that when they flowered and fruited, that they die back, and so we've got to cut out all those old branches. So it's a little bit like raspberries and a lot of the other cane fruit, where you're cutting back old branches right to the base, and what you may have to do is to chop either side of the line just to get that out. It's a little bit sharp on the hands, so you do need gloves for this one. So we'll just pop them, take them out, pop them to one side, and we'll just remove the other bits. You can see there's the new one coming through, and these are the slightly older shoots. And again, we'll just chop either side just to get that out. And chop that. Okay, so you just work your way along. You can see there's another one here, another old branch which is quite a thick one. We'll take that out, and you're left with your new shoots. And there's a lot of things. There is an invader there. There is an Autumn Bliss raspberry, which I'll just chop back for now, and we'll just feed that out of the way. And I'll just put that to one side, and you can see we've got some shoots the other side which are worth keeping. I'm going to cut that back to a reasonable shoot there. Cut that dead piece out. Cut a few of these dead pieces out here. There we go. Cut that out. There we are. And now we can try and train 1 or 2 pieces in. So you can see on the floor here we have it's like an Oregon thorn. Well, this isn't. This is a blackberry. And what we're going to do, we're going to just take that through, up, and just put that round the top of that wire. And then we'll just take this big one at the back here, and we'll feed it. Now we could either feed it through the top one, but I'm just going to let that ravel round a little bit, just round there and just through to there, and that will just hold that. I can put a figure of 8 knot in to make sure that we get that looking better, but we'll just, this one at the base here, it's not quite torn out. I'm going to leave that little bit on there just to hold that in place actually. Just there we go. That's on there now, and with this big long one here, again what we can do with that is to pull it through and just wrap that around there, and what we'll do is again a couple of pieces of string just to hold them in place, and that should have tidied that up. So the only one now we've got to worry about is this one. Just going to prune all the dead wood off it. And there we go. That's got it's got them trained. A little bit of tying, and then they should be all right for this year.